Shalom, shalom. Hold on. Shalom, shalom to everybody. For we're finna get ready to get started and go in. Everybody hit that like button. Make sure you like and share. We're finna get ready to get started to kick off part 2. So you know what I'm saying. Let's make this happen. All right. So I got some people, they finna get ready to come in. I wanted to ask everybody, people who was in here, I mean, how did you like the show from last week? Okay. So let me get ready to start sharing my screen. Okay. Just trying to get some people in. Shalom, Sister E. Hey, big shout out to Sister E. And thank you for your support and your love that you shared and showed. I just said big ups. That's a good sister. Y'all make sure y'all go over to her channel. If y'all not subscribed to Sister E, Sister E. Go on to her channel. Yeah, make sure y'all do that. Y'all go over there. Come on, BA. Where you at, brother? Okay. And Renzo. So we got Renzo there. We got them coming on in a few. Give me a little minute. We finna get started. We finna get cracking into it. So, you know what I'm saying? Y'all pray for Ashanti. I know she's not feeling good today. So you know what I'm saying? So she probably won't be on the panel today. But that's a very powerful sister. Y'all make sure y'all go over and subscribe to her channel. I've been Shan. Hold on, let me make sure I get this right. Very information. This sister has a lot of information. You know what I'm saying? Big respects for this sister. And I'm gonna make sure I got her page down correctly. Tell you where to subscribe to. Let's see. Yeah. And yo, make sure y'all subscribe. If you're not subscribed to Defenders of the Way as well, you know, make sure y'all do that. And whatnot. Let me see. Oh yeah, also subscribe to B.A. Ben Abraham. That's his page there. Yo, subscribe to that channel as well. And so let's recap a little bit about last week. So we got into the chapter 1 of Galatians, and I hope that y'all paid attention to those words like Judaism. Shout out to B.A. He's in the house. We covered the word Judaism and the traditions of the elders. So tonight, look for this word called works of law or works of the law. I'm going to introduce you guys into that tonight. I'm going to introduce you until, well, if Renzo gets in, you can see the different words between nomo and nomos. And he has the Greek grammar on that. So I see my brother B.A. has stepped in. So I'm going to let him say his piece. And what's up, B.A.? Go ahead. It's on you.
Yo, I'm here, brother. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I just want to make sure. But thank you again, Yehokanan, for bringing me on. First and foremost, praise the Most High known as Hashem, also known as the name, in the name of his only anointed divine image known as Yeshua the Christ. I'm just here for support. A lot of this information is something that Sister Ashanti had brought to my attention, like I said, last video about 2.5 years ago, about 2 years ago. And I've been studying it and reading it. And I'm just learning as I go along as well. So this is your Hope and Eyes time to shine. I'm just here to support my brother. And most high willing, those who are listening, we just provoke people to go out and do the research. This is public knowledge. This information is out here. It's not like it's hiding. We have to search and do research. So, and with that being said, I'm gonna allow my brother to get into his information. And most high willing, if I'm here to help, I'll try to be a help to the best of my ability. But go ahead, I.
Yeah, that was Sam. He wish he could be here, and big ups to Sam, man, because he did something special. That way we can be able to continue with what we got going on. And so, if moderator, I'm getting ready to share my screen. Let me see. Let me know. Entire screen share. So, okay. Let me know. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so can you see my screen, brother VA?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's get ready to get on to it, man. Before I get in here and kind of kick off the lesson, I want to say, hey, may the Most High bless everybody that's here tonight. I'm gonna open up with a prayer before I get started. And so, Father, Heavenly Father, we thank you, we praise you, we lift you up, and we give you the honor and esteem. Bless the audience. Open up everybody's hearts, Yahuwah, right now. Let them receive your word, your true word, oh Heavenly Father. Let us return back to you. Let us reconnect back to you. Just like the Mashiach said, there was two children. One said that he was going to go out and do what the Father said to do and never did it. They looked good on the outside, but they were rotten on the inside. But there was one that was rotten on the outside, but was right in the inside, and said that they was going to do they said they wasn't going to do what the Father told them to do. And then they thought about it and they changed their mind. Let us be those children, Father, that said no at first, but thought about it and said, Father, use us, serve us. We're here to do your will. With that, let's get it started. So I'm going to go ahead and show my screen, and we're going to kick this off. You know what I'm saying? We're going to continue from where we started off last week. And so, my thing is this: when you hear me speak tonight, if you hear me use words like Yahusha, I'm saying the son's name. If you see me using words like Elohim, that's the Hebrew word for God. Yahusha, or you might hear some say Yeshua. That is actually the Hebraic or Aramaic name for Jesus. Or you hear me might use words like Messiah. That is more of the Hebraic term for the word Christ, the anointed one. So if you hear me saying those things. So let's kick it off. Galatians 2:1-4. Then after 14 years, I went up again to Jerusalem with Barnabas and took Titus with me also. And I went up by revelation and communicated unto them that gospel which I preached among the Gentiles, but privately to them which were of reputation, lest by any means I should run or had run in vain. But hold up before I go there. Hold on for 1 second, because this is not the PowerPoint right here. Hold up. That's not the PowerPoint. I can tell that's not the PowerPoint. Hold on. Pull up this PowerPoint. Forgive me, it's the wrong PowerPoint. Okay. Y'all bear with me. Hold up for 1 second. It is. That's not the PowerPoint either. Hold on. Documents. Okay. Double here. Goodness. Hold on for 1 second. It's not my PowerPoint. 8. Oh, tell me I lost that PowerPoint. Hold up. Hold on for 1 second. It's like one. It was one I had added to it. Hold up, y'all. Forgive me. I'm a little nervous since my buddies are not here with me. Hold on. Where is it at? Okay, here we go. Is that it? Okay, let's see. That's not it right there. Let me see. Hold up for 1 second. June. Dang, this cannot be. The heck is the phone? All right, well, never mind. We just have to go with it. Okay. All right. Dang, I hate the fact. All right. So it said, after 14 years, I went up again to Jerusalem with Barnabas and took Titus with me also. And I went up by revelation and communicated unto them that the gospel which I preached among the Gentiles, but privately to them which were of reputation, least by any means I should run, or had run in vain. But neither Titus, who was with me, being a Greek, was compelled to be circumcised. And that because of false brethren unaware brought in, who came in privately to spy out our liberty, which we have in Christ Jesus, that they might bring us into bondage. Okay, so listen, the key thing I want you to focus on is where he said he didn't compel them to be circumcised. These last 2 verses. The reason why is because it's a different about circumcision, how we talked about it last week, about how circumcision is the way to how conversion is done, right? And look he said there were certain people who came to spy out their liberty. They was trying to put them back into bondage. Remember what we talked about, but what bondage was last week, which was this oral Torah. So now let's look at conversion, right? Which is by Rabbi Hiya, by Yabumot, and this is in the Mishnah. Rabbi Hiya bar Abba said that Rabbi Yohan said a man is never considered a convert until he is both circumcised and has immersed. The Gemara asks, isn't this obvious? In all disputes between an individual sage and many sages, the halakha is in accordance with the opinion of the many sages. It is therefore obvious that the halakha is in accordance with the rabbi. Convert. Here it goes. Yabamot 46b. The Barita states a ramification of the dispute. Therefore, the court may immerse a convert who was already circumcised on Shabbat. This is the statement of Rabbi Yehud, since he holds that circumcision alone effected conversion. The immersion will not effect any further change in his status, and so it is permitted on Shabbat. And Rabbi Yoshi says the court may not immerse him, since he holds that both circumcision and immersion are necessary to effect the conversion. The immersion will effect a change in his status by making him Jewish. Therefore, it is prohibited to do so on Shabbat by rabbinic decree, because it appears similar to preparing a vessel for use. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why those people are perpetuating circumcision to them. See, Paul, in Paul's mind, he said he didn't compel them to be circumcised yet. He wasn't stressing circumcision because he knows that you must first come in by faith. But the people, false brethren, like he said, they was trying to push circumcision because they was trying to get these guys into Judaism and not into the true word of the Most High. You got anything you want to say, BA, before I move on?
Nah, I just wanted to say real quick, as we see historically around this time frame, that was what was being stressed. That's why you'll probably get into it as you read on, but we see the dispute that Paul and Peter had. You know what I'm saying? You see that circumcision was pushed, not the circumcision of the heart, but circumcision as a identity, as a nationalistic identity. They more so decided that being a Jew by blood was more important than actually what Moses had taught in the law. So that's just something just to clarify and to back you up. But go ahead.
Yes. I'm sorry. It's just that this PowerPoint here, something went wrong. I had a PowerPoint for this and I saved it and it's not coming up. And the thing is, it had more information. It was way better than this one, man. When I say it was way better, I mean way better, bro. And I'm like, man, the enemy is busy, bro. Because I just restarted my computer. And for this month to be doing what it's doing, it was some key things in there I had definitely wanted to show the audience. And I can't believe it's like, I cannot find it. Like, it bothers me. And I'm like trying to get it up. Hold on for 1 second. It has some real key, when I say some key points in there, I worked on this mode. I can't believe. Let me see if this is it. Because it's automatically saved things. It just had so much better material on that one than this one. If not, I'm gonna just give it up and just keep running with this one. No, this ain't it. All right, well, I'm just go ahead and run with what I got then. Sorry, I don't want to. I know people want to. What you call it? This is crazy. This is crazy. So yeah, okay. So we ran with that one. So now, okay, let's go. All right. Yeah. All right. Okay. So you said what you said. Okay. So here we go right here. And like I said, some of this stuff I'm just kind of recapping from last week. You know what I'm saying? Just reiterating some things to you guys from John MacArthur. Again, we said this last week, and here it is again, where he is going into it. And it says certain men, Judaizers, and this is dealing with Acts 15:1, certain men, Judaizers, false teachers, who were self-appointed guardians of legalism, teaching a doctrine of salvation by works from Judea. See notes on 1:8, unless you are circumcised, you cannot be saved. That's the things that they were propagating, the heresies that they were propagating by the Judaizers. And as we see, it says, Acts 15:10, a yoke, a description of the law and the legalism of scribes and Pharisees. The legalists expected the Gentiles to carry a load they themselves were unwilling to bear. So there we go there. Just get you a note on what's going on. Reiterate the Pharisees. Pharisees transliterated from the Hebrew word Pharisee. After the resulting of the Jewish people in Judea on their return from the Babylonian captivity, there were two religious groups among them. One party contented themselves with following only what was written in the law of Moses. These were called the Zadokim, the righteous. The other group added the constitution and the traditions of the elders, as well as other rigorous observances to the law, and voluntarily compiled with them. They were called the Hasidim, or the pious. From the Zadokim, the sects of the Sadducees and Kyrites were derived. I want you to pay attention. From the Hasidim were derived the Pharisees and the Essenes. pay attention. The reason why I'm making this connection is because the Essenes and the Pharisees, they were kind of the same, but there were certain things that the Essenes did that was a little bit more different than the Pharisees. Sometimes they would add things or add customs just to make themselves very different from the Pharisees. Because I'm going to show you some Essene writings tonight, which is called the Dead Sea Scrolls. So Galatians 2 and 5, Galatians 2, 5 through 8. To whom we gave place by subjection, no, not from an hour, that the truth of the gospel might continue with you. But of these whom seem to be somewhat whatsoever they were, it maketh no matter to me. God accepted no man's person. For they whom seemed to be somewhat in conference added nothing to me. But counterwise, when they saw that the gospel of uncircumcision was committed unto me, as the gospel of the circumcision was unto Peter. For he that wrought effectively in Peter to the apostleship of the circumcision, the same was mighty in me towards the Gentiles. Okay. Now listen to this. This is key because this is where I want to start breaking down here. Galatians 2, 9 through 12. And when James, Caiaphas, and John, who seemed to be pillars, perceived the grace that was given unto me, they gave to me and Barnabas the right hands of fellowship, that we should go unto the heathen, and they unto the circumcision. Only they would that we should remember the poor, the same which I also was forward to do. But when Peter, pay attention to this, I want y'all to pay very close attention to this. But when Peter was come to Antioch, I withstood him to the face, because he was to be blamed. For before that certain came from James, he did eat with the Gentiles, but when they were come, he withdrew and separated himself, fearing them which were of the circumcision. Now I'm going to show you something, because what Peter actually carried out was oral tradition, and this is not in scripture nowhere. And I'm gonna prove to you. Okay, so listen, let's go back to Acts 10 and 28. And this is when Peter runs up on Cornelius, right? And this is what he tells Cornelius. And he said unto them, ye know how that it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one of another nation. But God has showed me that I should not call any man common or clean. Now, he said it's unlawful. That is not true, right? This is oral Torah, and I'm going to prove it to you tonight. Okay, now let's look. So here it goes again. This is after he deals with Cornelius, what the other Jews are saying to him. And when Peter was come up to Jerusalem, they that were of the circumcision contended with him. And those are the circumcision. This means these are Jews, right? That's what it's saying. They contended with him, saying, thou wentest into the men uncircumcised, meaning a Gentile, and didst eat with them, right? Okay. Now listen, our Savior was willing to go into a house of a Gentile. So we know our Messiah would never, ever break Torah for nobody. Okay. So listen to this. This is Matthew 8 and 5. And when Jesus was entered into Capernaum, there came unto him a centurion, beseeching him, and saying, Lord, my servant lieth at home sick of the palsy, grievously tormented. And Jesus said unto him, I will come and heal him. The centurion answered and said, Lord, I am not worthy. Listen to this. And the centurion said, Lord, I am not worthy that thou shouldest come under my roof, but speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed. So we see our Messiah willing to go into the house to actually heal somebody. But the centurion, he heard of their oral traditions. He was a God-fearer. He's like, nah, I know how y'all rock. I know how y'all get down. I'm not coming. So now let's see where Peter got this from. Here's Alahot 18:7 at the Mishnah. The dwelling places of non-Jews are unclean. How long must the non-Jew have dwelt in the dwelling places for them to require examination? 40 days, even if there was no woman with him. If, however, a slave or an Israelite woman watch over the dwelling places, it does not require examination. Can y'all hold up for 1 second? BA, I got to do something real quick. Can you kind of take over for a little bit until I get back?
Okay, sure.
Yeah, just talk with the people for a second. I got to do something real quick.
Just pretty much what your Hokanai was looking into. we see that when it came from a historical perspective, we see that it was very common for the Jews at this time to they knew Torah and they also knew the oral traditions. Um, so my thing overall, well, not my thing. Well, overall, we see that it was common for them, and things start to change when they came back from Babylonian captivity. Uh, we noticed that in the days of Nehemiah and Ezra is when things were being implemented into the law of Moses. So now, and the reason why, because the Jews or the Israelites at this time, they were so focused on protecting the law. That's what the word that is. That's why a lot of oral. Just another term for the oral traditions is called halakha. It's protecting the Torah from outsiders. So this is a tradition that was carried down from the times of Ezra and Nehemiah all the way up to the days of Christ and the apostles and Paul. And now we see from a social perspective what was going on, because it was very common for a Jew, which is a sect, which is a religious sect within the Israelite people, to be a Yehudi. That meant that you were in the region or you lived in the land of Judea. So it wasn't anything about, oh, Jews and no, Yehudi and Jews the same thing. So if you were a Yehudi, you had the belief of the sect, and they believed in the oral traditions. And not only this, the Pharisees are very popular amongst the people. They were the ones who the people really catered to, or the people actually listened to when it came to the instructions of Torah. So they had a very big influence on the poor and the common people. So it was very, very common. It was the norm. The norm was to understand the laws of Moses and the oral traditions as one. So to be a first century Jew, it was common to understand and to believe the oral traditions. That's why we see in the book of Mark when the Messiah, when he says himself, the master teacher, he said, "Why must you transgress the laws of God by your traditions or the traditions of your elders?" See, what happens is this contradicts Torah. When you go to Deuteronomy chapter 4, the Most High spoke to the prophet Moses. He said, "Do not add or take away from this law." When you add something to the law, you take away the substance. And when you take away from the law, you add. When you add to it, you take away. And when you take away, you add. So you see the confusion here. You got to remember the Israelites came back from captivity from the Babylonians. They were not familiar with their God. They had fell off. They transgressed the commandments, or they transgressed the covenant rather. And they went into captivity under Nebuchadnezzar. And when they were allowed to come back into the land by the Mede Persians, they had to get back in tune with this God. And they thought that the oral traditions, which is also known as halakha, they thought that if they would protect the laws and stay away from the Gentiles or the stranger, they believed that that would get them back in good standing with Hashem. That's what they believed in. So in the days of Christ, when he came amongst the land, when he came amongst his people, it was a custom for him to even know the oral traditions. He understood them because he's an Israelite living amongst his people. So they're Hellenized. They're used to being under the oppressor's fists, or the oppressor's iron fist here. So we have to understand historically, when we read these letters of Paul, when we read the New Testament, we have to understand it's very imperative to know what was historically going on, because nowadays we see a lot of people who call themselves Israelites. They'll study the Old Testament. They will study everything historically, politically, everything. But when it comes to the New Testament, all that other stuff don't matter. That's the white man's book. We don't believe in Jesus Christ. We don't believe in that, because they cannot get past the image of white supremacy. They cannot get past the image of white Jesus. That's the stumbling block. So it's very vital. It's very important, brothers and sisters, that we make it a point to get inside this New Testament and look at it from a social, historical, and political perspective, so we understand. That's why I stress to everybody, look up imperial cult worship. That played a very big part in what the Messiah was dealing with. You want to know about the Son of God? Caesar was called the Son of God. Look up that concept, the Son of God and Caesar, and see why when Christ was known as the Son of God, how that was a strike against the imperial gods. How that was a strike. How the Pharisees played a game, and when they talked to Pilate, go in the book of John, and when the Pharisees had said, "We have no king but Caesar. This man calls himself the Son of God." Pilate understood what that meant, because he was a Roman. He understood those traditions. So imperial code worship, and on top of that, the oral traditions were there amongst the people, and they were very aware of them. Yehochanan, you back?
Yeah, my brother, I'm back. I'm back. I am back.
All right, I'm gonna fall back, and then let you do your thing.
You good, Ak? You did a good job, brother. Hey, don't fall back. You did very good, Ak.
Yeah, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. But this is your time, man. I'm just here to back you up and support. I don't want to speak much because you are an elder brother. You're an older brother, and it's written in the word. You know what I'm saying? And I've always understand this. It says that to be slow to speak when you're much elder. So I consider you an elder brother. So I thank you for allowing me to come on. I'll say something every so often, but this is your time. I'm just here to support you. I love you, bruh. So I'm here for you. It's good.
Right. I love you too, bro. I love you too. Trust me. All right. So we read that Holocaust, right? That's where Peter is getting this from, right? This is nothing that you'll ever see. This ain't what you see basically in the scriptures. You understand what I'm saying? This is oral tradition. So let's go into some more oral traditions of what they felt and how they saw the Gentiles. This is Shabbat 145. It says, I have a lot to hear which causes them to. Rabbi Hilya then asked, for what reason are Torah scholars in Babylon distinguished by their special rabbinic garb? Rabbi Ashi answered, because they are not well versed in Torah. If they would not distinguish themselves by dressing differently, they would not be respected for their Torah knowledge. He then asked, for what reason are Gentiles ethically contaminated? He answered, because they eat abominable creatures and crawling things, and that causes bad character traits. So listen, this is oral tradition. Now, this is what they think of the Gentiles. Here we go. Shabbat 13b, impurity and other items. These disqualify. One who eats food with first degree ritual impurity status acquired as a result of contact with a primary source of ritual impurity. A creeping animal and one who eats food with second degree ritual impurity status acquires a result of contact with an item with first degree ritual impurity status. And one who drinks impure liquids of any degree of impurity, and one whose head and most of his body come into drawn water after he immersed himself in a ritual bath to purify himself. And a ritual pure person, that 3 log of drawn water fell on his head and most of his body, and a Torah scroll. Okay. And I think this continues from this. Okay. And the Torah scroll in the hands of any person who did not purify himself. See, listen to this stuff. This is the traditions of being impure, right? So in the hands of any person who did not purify himself for the purpose of handling the teruma, and one who immersed himself during the day, one who was impure and immersed himself, and until evening he is not considered completely pure, and foods and vessels that became impure by coming into contact with impure liquids. Contact with any of these disqualifies the teruma. The Gurma seeks to clarify these matters. There's some more, okay? Now, we read this last time, but I just want to show you how they didn't even want the Gentiles to even learn Torah. So this is Shabbat 31a. The sages taught that there was an incident involving one Gentile who came before Shimi. The Gentile said to Shimi, how many Torahs do you have? He said to him, 2, the written Torah and the oral Torah. The Gentile said to him, with regard to the written Torah, I believe you, but with regards to the oral Torah, I do not believe you. Convert me on conditions that you will teach me only the written Torah. Shimi scolded him and cast him out with reprimand. And so this is what I wanted. I'm coming back here to show how there were certain sects of Pharisees, especially who came from the house of Shammai, who did not want to teach Gentiles, who had this mindset that walking into a Gentile house was not the thing to do. If you ever get a chance, Google up the 18 edicts of Shammai. They'll tell you a little bit about how he didn't like Gentiles and how a lot of what he was saying, he put up a wall of division amongst the Gentiles. And it talks about how he basically did not want to teach Torah to the Gentiles, which went against the prophets, which said that the Torah will go be a light and unto the ends of the earth to the Gentiles. So here on the other side, in Shabbat 31a, we see that we have Hillel, who is willing to actually teach a Gentile the Torah. And this is where Paul comes from, because he was taught by Hillel's grandson. How you pronounce the name? You know how to pronounce the name, VA?
You talk about Gamaliel?
Gamaliel, that is. That's Hillel's grandson who actually taught Paul.
You know what's crazy, if you don't mind me, just let me kindly interrupt real quick. A lot of people who are not familiar with Shammai and Hillel, at the time of Christ, these were the two different schools of thought that the Pharisees were divided. You had some Pharisees who came out of the school of Shammai, and you had some Pharisees who come out of the school of Hillel. And these two different classes, or these two different schools of thought, were always debating and beefing and going back and forth at each other, because Shammai was considered a well-learned and well-understood teacher, and so was Shammai and Hillel. And I'm sorry, and Hillel, he was also considered a very well-skilled teacher. Shammai had a more conservative approach. Hillel had more of a liberal or progressive approach. So Shammai was very hardcore to where he did not like Gentiles. Hillel was more so open to teach the Gentiles. And so for those who are not familiar, do more research on Hillel and Shammai. They had a very big influence on the people that Christ and Paul and the apostles were dealing with. These two different schools of thought really plagued the people. But go right ahead, Art.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. Okay, the Nada 69b. The Mishnah teaches with regard to the corpse of a Gentile who died, although when alive, he transmit impurity like a zah. Once he dies, he is ritually pure and is prevented from transmitting impurity. It is taught in Barita that Rabbi Yehud HaNasi said, "For what reason did the sages say that the corpse of a Gentile who died is ritually pure? And he is prevented from transmitting impurity by carrying, because his impurity that he transmits even when alive is not by Torah law, but by rabbinic law." Okay, so this is by rabbinic law. The sages decreed that every living Gentile imparts ritual impurity in the manner of Zah. They did not extend their decree to include the corpse of a Gentile. And the Hanasian said, "For what reason did the sages say that the corpse of a Gentile who died is ritually pure and is prevented from transmitting impurity by carrying? Because his impurity that is transmitted even when alive is not by Torah law or rabbinic law. The sages declared that every living Gentile imparts ritual impurity in the manner of Zah. They did not extend their decree to include the corpse of a Gentile in the manner of the corpse of a Zah." Okay. Now, anything you want to say before I go on this point right here, brother BA?
No, brother, you go right ahead. Do your thing.
Okay, so here we go. Now, I want y'all to pay close attention to this right here, this part, because I'll go deep into this right here. It says, "And the other Jews disassembled likewise with him, and so much that Barnabas also was carried away with their dissimulation. But when I saw that they walked not uprightly according to the truth of the gospel, I said unto Peter before them all, If thou be a Jew, livest among the manner of Gentiles, and not as the manner of Jews, why compellest thou the Gentiles to Judaize?" This is the only time you're going to see this word written out in a King James Bible, right? "We who are Jews by nature and not sinners of the Gentiles." So let's break down some of these words here about the Jews and the Gentiles and Judaizers, okay? So now, the manner of Gentile. If you look at this word here, you will see this. This is Greek 1483 in your Bible concordance. Ethnikios, right? And ethnikios means a heathen Gentile, after the manner of the heathen or the Gentile, used only in Galatians 2:14, meaning to live in a way not keeping with the manner of and customs of Israel. So what Paul was telling him was, You're not keeping these oral traditions or anymore, or these customs that the people keep. So why, if you don't live by these customs or these traditions of the elders, why are you trying to put this on the people? That's what he's telling them, the manner of Gentile. Okay. So now let's go here to the manner of the Jew. And this is Adikizos. I wish my sister was here. This is where we need her at. I hope she feels better too. So what is this? This is Greek 2452. And it says, after the manner and customs of the Jewish people. Okay. Judaize. Right? 2450. Adideos. A Jew, to Judaize or conform or to live according to Jewish customs and or manners. So what they was living according to was the custom and manners of the Pharisees. Okay, so here it goes here again, 2450. This is out of the Strongs, and it means to become a Judean, Judaize, live as the Jews. The word means to adopt Jewish customs and rites, practices, and manners. Imitate the Jews, Judaize, observe the ritual law of the Jews. Now, when it comes to these ritual laws that the Pharisees had, what they end up doing is taking what was ritual purification to go into the temple. They took that, and it was really they took the laws that was meant for the Levitical priests, and they wanted the people to apply that to their everyday lifestyle. This is the burden that they put on people. Okay, Judaism. Okay, because that's what a Judaizer end up becoming. A Judaizer is to get them to become into the Judaism, which you would call the Jews religion, right? And we read this before, but I'll read it again. Judaism, the Jewish faith usage, Jews religion. This word denotes the Jews religion and stands not for their religious beliefs, but for their religious practices, not as instituted by God. Remember that the practices that they did, that's not instituted by God, but as developed and extended from these by the traditions of the Pharisees and the scribes. So this is what they were trying to get these people into again. Okay. Now, Galatians 2:16. But before I go in, anything you want to say, Ak, before I dig in?
No, just to add to what you were saying when it comes to the Gentiles. There's a lot of people who will sit here and play with this word. And what we just did, we just went back into the concordance, and we also have lexicons. And we also we have Thayer's lexicon, and we also have Liddell Scott's Greek lexicon, which is a secular Greek lexicon that has no kind of biblical influence on it. And this word just means simply it simply just means what the brother just stated in the concordance. So, but we have people who say Gentiles mean something else. And the reason why a lot of brothers do that, because they want to protect their doctrine. It's because they can't go outside of a doctrine. So they have to force words to mean certain things so their doctrine can be relevant. So I just want to stress that. So when the Gentiles are being spoken in context of the first century, we understand the people, the Israelites, they believe and they knew that the Gentiles were those who were not Israelites. That was the common view. That was what they understood. Go ahead, brother.
Right. Now here we go. Galatians 2:16. And you're going to see that there are a lot of people who love to live by this. But we're going to show you what works of the law is today. We're going to talk a little bit about works of law or works of the law. We're going to talk about this. We're going to touch on it a little bit. But when we get to chapter 3, we're going to annihilate it. Okay? So now notice this. Listen to this. Knowing that a man is not justified by the works of law, but by the faith of Jesus Christ. Even we have believed in Jesus Christ that we might be justified by faith, by the faith of Christ, and not by the works of the law. For by the works of the law shall no man be justified. Now, listen, Paul here, he's not talking about the Torah like you think he is. Why you say that? Hold up. Because if Paul is talking like this, Galatians is like his first letter he wrote. So either Paul, if we go with the perspective of he's talking about the law, then Paul had a change of heart then, because when he writes Romans, look at what he tells Romans 2:13. For not the hearers of the law are just before God, right? But the doers of the law shall be justified. So hold up. So either Paul is schizophrenic or he's talking about another instruction. Like I said, I'm going to show you what works of the law is today. We're gonna deal with works of the law. We're going to touch on works of the law. Okay? Today we will do that. But I want you to see this, knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the law, right? But by the faith of Jesus Christ. Now notice here's what he says. For not the hearers of the law. So now notice here, he said, for not the hearers of the law. He didn't say for not the hearers of the works of the law. He said, for not the hearers of the law are justified before God, but the doers of the law shall be justified. So the doers of the law shall be justified, right? But over here, when we say he's talking to Galatians, he said those who you can't be justified by the works of the law. Notice he said works of the law. He didn't say law. He said works of the law. They're two different things, okay? So where does works of the law come from? Let's go into Dead Sea Scrolls. Remember, I told you I was going to touch on this because I want to show you that the Essenes and the Pharisees, the Hasidim, they come from the same school. So they have some of the same type of traditions going on. So let's look at this. 4QMMT. MMT is a Hebraic acronym which really means works of law, works of the law. Okay. So listen to this, the highlighted part. At the sectarian documents found in the caves of the Quran, fairly bristled with legal discussions. Hear what I'm saying? Is bristled with legal discussions on a variety of issues. Only this work, commonly known as 4QMMT, an acronym from the Hebrew words meaning some of the works of the law, directly challenges the position of another religious group. Because of the potentially defying character of such a response, scholars have hoped to find the manifesto a basis for a definitive identification of the group behind the sectarian scrolls. So see, this works of the law, this is a Hebrew phrase. This is a Hebrew idiom that goes back way before Paul, and this goes back way before Christ. This is dealing with the Essenes. This go back to BC times, this saying, and this is the only place where you will find this. I promise you, you will never find works of the law nowhere within Moses and the prophets. I've asked people to show me. They cannot show me. They cannot show me works of the law in Moses and the prophets. They cannot show it. Okay, so let's go on. Here, the final exhortation is of great importance for a fuller understanding of statements the Apostle Paul makes about works and righteousness in his letters to the Galatians. So I advise you, if you want to understand about these works of the law, or what Paul is speaking of, get the Dead Sea Scrolls if you don't have it. Now, here's some of the things that they added to. Listen to this. The scroll included a festival calendar, which you don't never really hear about that in scriptures, right? The mandates hereto unknown festivals, sacrifices, and feasts, and festal regulations. Let me go back. Let's go back now to what they were doing. Things that's not in Torah. Hold up, let's go back. The scroll includes a festival calendar that mandates hereto unknown festivals, unknown sacrifices, and unknown festival regulations, and outline the calendar in the Quran calendar known for many of the categorical writings. But the new festivals do not always appear in those other works. Hold up. So these guys even added festivals. So these are the things Paul is talking against. These are the works of the laws that he's talking against, these ritual things. Because if you read the Dead Sea Scrolls, you'll find out that they wouldn't even accept sacrifices from Gentiles because of this ritual impurity kind of type statement. So this is what this stuff is, what Paul is talking about. He's talking about these oral traditions, these oral Torahs that's going on. And when we talk, we will deal with works of the Torah again. We will deal with it, and we will deal with it when we get to chapter 3. We're going to deal with it again. And I'm going to show you without a doubt, there's no way that Paul is talking about the Torah of Moses. No way, no how. Okay. Now, let's look at this. Matthew 23:23. Because we know Paul is not talking about the law, because let's see what the Messiah says about the law. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ought you to have done, and not to leave the other undone. Let's go back again. This right here should be the only words that ever count in your life, is the red letters of what the Messiah say. If you say we follow Christ, if we say we're Christians, we're saying we're Messianic, we're saying we're Hebrews who believe in the Mashiach, his words should be like the overall thing that we should be adhering to without a doubt. Listen to this. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ought you have to have done, and not to leave the other undone. Okay, so I'm gonna stop right there just to see if Brother VA want to chime in on this.
No, brother, you go right ahead, man. I rock with you, and everything is lining up. So do your thing.
Right. So I'm gonna go back. I just want you to hear what Paul said. Paul said, "For not the hearers of the law justified before God, but the doers of the law shall be justified." So there's no way Paul is talking about the Torah of Moses. I'm pretty sure works of law, these are these Pharisaical traditions that we covered here tonight in the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's what he's speaking against. He's talking about these traditions. Remember, the whole beginning of this letter starts off about Judaism and traditions of elders. It's dealing with these traditions of men, and the reason why people are compromising Torah for the traditions of men. Okay, so let's go on to Galatians 2-17. But if while we seek to be justified by Christ, we ourselves also are found sinners, is therefore Christ the minister of sin? God forbid. Okay, if I can scroll out for a second, there's something I want you to see, because I want you to see something about this, because it's something in Corinthians I want you to see. I'll paraphrase it to you. When Paul speaks in Corinthians, he says that this. Listen to this. He says they compare themselves amongst themselves, right? He said that's not wise to do. Why is it not wise to do that? Because if I compare myself to another person, I think I'm okay. But when I compare myself to Christ, I'm a sinner. You understand what I'm saying? When I hold my life up to the Messiah, I am a sinner. And my life does not match up. See? But if while we seek to be justified by Christ, we ourselves are also found sinners, is therefore Christ the minister of sin? God forbid. For if I build again the things which I destroyed, I make myself a transgressor. What is the things that he destroyed? Shaul destroyed the oral traditions. He let that go. He put that down. He never dealt with that again. Remember, he said, for if I build again the things, what things? The oral traditions, the traditions of the elders, the oral Torah, which I've destroyed, I make myself a transgressor. What did Christ say? Why do you transgress the Torah of the law for the what? The traditions of the elders. So listen, for I through the law am dead to the law, that I might live unto God. Okay, so now let's see, because we can't be talking about the Torah, because listen, hold up. Listen what it's saying. Listen, let's go to Romans 8:3-4. For what the law could not do, and that it was weak through the flesh, God sending his own son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin condemned sin in the flesh. Okay, so what was it that the law could not do to the flesh? You couldn't have it. It couldn't change your nature. It couldn't give you a new heart and a new mind to say, you know what, my nature needs to be changed. That's what Christ brought. He brought the consciousness to be, to seek out the God, to know, hey, I'm filthy. You understand what I'm saying? That's what he brought. That's what the Torah couldn't do. It couldn't give you a consciousness. So now listen to this. This is verse 4. That the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us who walk not after the flesh. Walking after the flesh meaning sin, fornicating, committing murder, stealing, those things of the flesh, but after the spirit. So that's right. That the righteousness of the law, what law? The righteousness of Moses' law, God's law, the only law that really was, the one and the same. That law might be fulfilled in us who walk not after the flesh, but after the spirit. Anything you want to say before I go on to the next slide, my brother?
No, keep going.
Okay. So now he is dead. He is dead to the oral Torah now. Now he is not only is he dead to the oral Torah, he's dead to sin and death. He's dead to the law of sin, and he's dead to the law of sin and death. No longer now does Paul have to worry about the penalties for breaking Torah, because now the spirit of Elohim lives in him to walk according to his word. And remember, it said that faith come by hearing, and hearing by the word of Elohim. The only word of Elohim they ever had back then was Moses and the prophets. No New Testament. There were no letters. The letters of Paul were written before the Gospels, basically. There wasn't no Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, none of that. There was none of that written out. None of that written out. So the word of God at that time was Moses and the prophets. That means from Genesis to Malachi. That's all they had back then. That was the word of Elohim. And that was the word that they had to receive by faith. Okay. Now let's go on. Galatians 2:20 and 21. I am crucified with Christ. Nevertheless, I live. Yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of God, who loveth me and gave himself for me. I do not frustrate the grace of God, for if righteousness come by the law, then Christ died in vain. So hold up. Now let's look. Romans 10:5. Let's go over here. For Moses described the righteousness which is of the law. Hold on. The righteousness which is of the law, that the man which doeth those things shall live by them. Okay. So we know Paul ain't talking about Torah, because we got a problem then if Paul is talking about Torah, because he's talking about the Torah of Moses in Romans 10:5. So you're telling me, listen now, let's go back. Let's listen, let's look. I am crucified with Christ, nevertheless I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. So let's go back and let's look here, because remember what it says over here in Romans 8. It says, for the law could not do in the flesh that it was weak through the flesh, God sending his Son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin, condemned sin in the flesh. Now listen, that the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us who walk not after the flesh. So the righteousness of the law is to be fulfilled, what? In the flesh, by having faith in Christ. Okay? Because if not, we got a problem then. Because Paul is not making any sense. He's talking all over the place now. He's telling Galatians one thing and he's telling the Romans another thing. Right? So I do not frustrate the grace of God, for if righteousness come by the law, what law is he talking about? The works of the law? That's what he's talking about in this chapter. The works of the law. He ain't talking about the law of Moses. Then Christ died in vain. Okay, so that's I gotta find another one. Anything you want to say on that?
No, just want to say, I just want to say that when it comes to the law, which we understand to be given to the Israelites in the first 5 books, we understand that is a action period. It is a lifestyle. It is a way how you go about life. The law is not bound to a whole bunch of rules and do's or don'ts. And as you see in the letters of Paul, as even right here, how you broke down works and everything, we see that the oral traditions line up with that works, wanting to look good publicly. Look at the Pharisees. They wanted to be seen of men. They wanted to be liked and loved. They were looking for what we call today clout. They were the ones who you would call a modern day, who we would call modern in this time, an attention whore. They want to be amongst the people. They had a following. They had great influence. Don't it remind you of individuals today online who want to come against Christians, who want to come against Israelites? How people are just looking for clout, for this great religious clout chase, looking for attention. They just want to have issues and critique someone's work without even wanting to understand. They're just so quick to draw and cut somebody up. That's what the Pharisees are all about. That's what the oral traditions is all about. What you can do, I can do better. Go ahead, I.
No, you good. I'm trying to find something because if I can find it, y'all keep me in prayer, man. Because I'm telling you, I had something. The other PowerPoint I had was way, way better. I'm telling you, man. When I say the PowerPoint was way, way better, it was way, way better, bro. And I'm talking about like something happened. I had restarted. I saved it. I saved everything I added all day today, and whatnot. I see GCon in there. Anything you want to say, G-Con? If you want to come up here? Oh, hold on, let me see if he's still there. Hold on, let me see. Hey, G-Con, if you are still in the audience, put a 1 in the chat box. Because if I find it, man, if I just find this thing, it's over with. Oh my goodness. Let me see. Because I had one saved. Did he put a 1 in the thing? Okay. Can you hear me out?
Yeah, I'm right here. All right.
Okay. Yeah, I told you can put a 1 in the thing. I'll let him come up if he's up, if he something he wanted to actually say. Let me see. I don't see nothing. I guess he got into it with Sister E. Oh boy. Okay. Let me see. Anybody in the audience want to come on the platform for a second? Put a 1 in the chat. If they want to ask a question or something regarding this. Yeah, man. I gotta next time when I finish up a PowerPoint, I'm gonna save it and send it to somebody. Cause when I said I had a PowerPoint for this way better, I added to it and it just will not what you call it. But hold up, I'm in something. They might be in trouble because I think it might have pulled up. Let me see. Hold up, we might have it. Okay, hold up. This might be it. This might be it. Hold up, let me see. So yeah, because I hate the fact that I lost it. I thought it was saved, and that hurt me. But do you see a 1 in the chat? No, this ain't it. I don't know what happened. Oh man, he mad because I put him in timeout. Oh, okay. Yeah, is he still in timeout, Sister E? You can take him out. He can come. I want to see if he something he wanted to ask. Real quick.
Can I just make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Are you presenting information right now?
As far as to who?
Just to the audience, because my thing is that if you're gonna keep presenting information till you finish, I would rather you finish first, so
Okay,
people
finish
can get an
first.
understanding, and then if you want to
Right.
bring on individuals to go back and forth with, you can go ahead and do that, and I'll just fall back when you bring on other individuals. I'm not here to argue with anybody online no
Right.
more.
Okay. Yeah, I
I'm
got
too
you. Yeah.
I'm past that. They're irrelevant to me. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. You know what? You're
What's that?
absolutely right, Aki. You're absolutely right, man. that was kind of short. And I guess because of the amount of people we actually have on the panel is the reason why maybe the time went short. Because like last time it was so much better. And this time I just feel like, dang, I'm sorry, artists. I feel like I let you guys down because I lost a document that I thought I had. I don't know what happened. It had a lot more information. And dang, and I hate the fact that Sister Shanti, she's not feeling good. And because she really can go into the nomo and the nomos, because there's two different words there. There's nomo and there's nomos. And so let's see. I'm trying to see if I can pull up that document. Hold on. I think this might be it. Let's see. But you're absolutely right. I'll actually wait till I get done. And then once I get done, then I can you're absolutely right, bro. Then we can what you call it? We can deal with the people. So saying I like I said, this is a little different this week. I kind of got hit with some unexpected news. So I promise you next week it'll be better, and it'll have more detailed into it. It'll be kind of like the first one, because I know we started off real good and real strong on the first one. And so I will have I'll have it together better next time. I'm sorry, forgive me. My the thing I had saved, and I have auto save, and I thought I automatically saved it, and it just actually did something else to it. So it threw me off. It just threw me off. So yeah, so just keep my computer, keep everything lifted up in prayer, because this is crazy. I never had this happen to me before. Okay, so anything you want to say? Any last words, brother BA?
Is this your last words as far as getting ready to finish up, or you just about to wrap it up?
Yeah. I guess we about to wrap it up, because we've already went through the whole chapter of chapter 2. We actually went through it.
Okay. No, I would just like to say, as we get ready to wrap up, that this is information again that is out here publicly. Um, and please, you don't have to take our word for it. Just look up the information. Look it up for yourself. Do the research. All the stuff that Yehokanai has, I have that same information here. I have a Mishnah. I have various historical sources myself, because this is something. When I started going this direction, I had to learn to humble myself and sit down and listen. Or comprehend what I was taking in. So this is some good information. It will help you get a better understanding of Paul. Since I have been historically looking this stuff up and socially looking this stuff up, Paul's letters make a whole lot more sense. A whole lot more sense. So now, with that being said, I just ask brothers and sisters, as you're listening, stay prayerful. Um, Tap into the information. And to be honest, I don't have any use in me to go back and forth with the same people. It doesn't make any sense. So this is for those who want to hear it. And if there's people who want to refute, again, like I said last week, bring us sources. I don't want to hear anything else. Don't attack nobody personally. Bring us historical sources. We want to see the information that you have refuting. Everybody talks about scholarship. Well, show us your scholarship, because scholarship is a skill. You either have it or you don't. So, like I said before, if you're going to refute, that's fine. We're cool with that, because brothers and sisters should be able to come together and mingle and talk about things that have an opposing view. But again, if you're going to have information, stop with the personal attacks. It's getting old. It's played out. You're burnt. Come with information, please. Thank you.
Okay. Here I am. I'm gonna say this. I think everybody who came out showed some support, and I apologize. Next time I'll guard my information more, have it more secured down. I promise you, when we get to the third chapter, it would be more edifying than it was tonight. I think we had some people who wasn't feeling good, and so our scholars who deal with the language, they was not able to come tonight. But everybody be blessed. If there's anything, like my brother said, if you have scholarly sources, if you want to present your information and not gaslight. And gaslighting is like when you know we're telling the truth and you're trying to purposely deny it. People's souls are on the line. Do you understand what I'm saying? People's souls are on the line. And we're trying to show people how to come back and to be in right standing with the Most High. We know it's through faith in Christ. That's what got us there. But we're talking about maintaining salvation, maintaining your standard or where you're at, maintaining where you're at in your position is what we're showing you. So if you got some information and you're saying I'm wrong, then I have no problems. Anybody, if you want my number, give me a call. If you want my email is Monty Pauldon, MontyPauldon @gmail.com. That's Monty Pauldon, MontyPauldon @gmail, Monty Pauldon, PAULDON @gmail.com. You can email me. Send me your information to show me where I'm wrong. You understand what I'm saying? Please do that. If not, then hey, you can either say just you don't want to keep the law and you're not trying to keep the law, or just go on by your business. But ma'am, we're done for the night. You can go ahead and end the stream, Mrs. Addison, if you can hear me.